Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here once again with another video on Superman and Lois Season 4. And Superman and Lois is well into the swing of filming with its fourth and final season at this point, as they are about a week into it roughly, when this video come out, roughly. Maybe exactly a week or a couple of days off. Now we do know that they are facing like weird circumstances considering the weird time of the year that they have started the filming. In other words, it is snowing heaps in Vancouver where they film, which even with Superman and Lois we wouldn't see too much of unless they actually went to a place that was meant to be super cold and have snow or ice, like somewhere in the Arctic or something. Now, we should be used to the Arrowverse and DCTV shows filming up in Vancouver and, maybe seeing snow from time to time, but also not seeing snow all the time in episodes filming around this time of the year because they sort of know how to remove snow before filming and everything like that. But, it will be interesting to see how it all plays out. But they would still be on episode 1 at this point from my knowledge, which we know is called, like the episode title is called The End and the Beginning, with us going over all that stuff and some set related photos a few days ago. But one minor thing I wanted to add that I wasn't too sure about completely because there was no real confirmation at the time when I made that video is in regards to the guest stars for this season, or specifically that episode, who were former series regulars before this final season. Now we know that they will at least be in episode 2, or at least some of them, and more specifically the Sarah Cushing character and Lana Lang. The two actresses who play the characters have confirmed that they'll be up there for that filming period for that episode. Whether they are in episode 1 is another question, but they should be in it at the very least episode 2, but we'll wait and see what happens there, I guess. But another minor thing to touch upon, because we don't know if it means really anything major at this point, is that Alex Garfin, who plays Jordan on the show, did post on social media a photo of Michael Bishop's head. He, of course, plays Jonathan, with Alex saying that the shirt that Michael was wearing was a spoiler. Now, a lot of people think this means he is wearing a Superboy suit or something like that, which would be a random accelerant, seeing the character of Jonathan had no powers last time we saw him in season 3. But if there is a time jump, maybe it could be like a university shirt, or maybe just something plot related that probably isn't too big of a spoiler, but also a bit of a spoiler to the point where at least Alex is like, hey, I'm not going to post and get in trouble. But yeah, I wouldn't look into it too much, at least in regards to thinking it's a super suit or something like that. But knowing my luck, it would be crazy and be something like that after just essentially saying that that's a ridiculous thing to assume. But in regards to things that actually show something that is happening, thanks to Lois Lane herself, that of course being Bitsy Tulloch, she posted a few things online in celebration of filming kicking off, which reveals a couple of interesting things. Or at least, they're interesting to me. But hopefully also, at least it's interesting to some of you, or hopefully most of you. But, the first of these is this photo right here, which is from the first week of filming. It's not an old photo from season 3 or anything like that. It's a photo that they took this week. And this also confirms that Tyler Hoechlin is filming for episode 1, because people weren't too sure a few days ago if that was actually the case and that maybe he's not in it. But as you can see in this photo, we have Clark and Lois in their reporter modes, if you want to put it, with Clark sporting a press or media pass on his chest. I think it says press pass, but it might also say media pass. I can't remember if we got a close-up of this in the last season when they were in Metropolis, but also when I zoom in, it's also the reverse, but it's either press or media. It's one of the two. But instantly, when people see this, most would go, oh, we're going to Metropolis maybe for Daily Planet stuff. I wonder if that means that they move there in this season. But it's important to remember the end of last season with Superman versing Doomsday on the moon and the potential that he will be MIA or missing in action in the present day for a bit after this. So does that mean these photos indicate flashback scenes from when Clark and Lois were in their, prime, if you want to put it, back in Metropolis and working at the Daily Planet and doing their thing, similar to some other flashback stuff from previous seasons? And I think that flashback stuff is probably more likely than present day stuff when it comes to this Clark and Lois photo, just due to the end of last season and what happened there. But what could they be doing if it's a flashback thing? Well, I would think most people's minds go to something revolving around Lex Luthor. And that makes a lot of sense, seeing they probably, would want to do a decent amount of, well, maybe not a decent amount, but a somewhat decent amount of background development with Lex Luthor and his influence in this world, and more specifically within Metropolis. We have seen some of it and how controlling and influential he can be, especially in a short amount of time, which we saw in the prison scenes from last season. But in regards to the larger Metropolis and maybe even United States, or even just the world in general, we haven't really seen any of that or got too much of an inkling of it. Just that we know that people will back him based off what he does in a short amount of time. And some flashback stuff early into this season could then set up what he is going to be doing in the present day, or just at least connect to it in some way. So I think that logically works and seems like the most likely thing to be going down here. But then again, that could be something that maybe happens in a later episode. And this photo from Bitsy with Lois and Clark is for something else. We'll wait and see, I guess, but it's food for thought if you want to put it, but I'm just intrigued to see what they do as a whole. But the final thing to go over in this video is something regarding not episode 1, or even episode 2, but episode 3 of Superman and Lois's 4th and final season, and that is because we got the episode title for episode 3, as well as a special director announcement for it. So, as you can see on screen right now, we have the script cover, which was once again posted by Bitsy Tulloch, aka Lois Lane. And as we can see here, the episode title is Always My Hero, and it is directed by David Guintoli. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Was it Guintoli? It's Guintoli or Juntoli. I'm not too sure which way to pronounce it. It's one of them. And some of you might know him. You might know David as an actor on a few shows like Grimm and can't remember the other show that ended last year that he was on. A Million Little Things or something like that. I think it was what it was called, something like that. But he was, I think, mainly known for Grimm, which Bitsy was also on. But he's also Bitsy Tulloch's husband, so it's a bit of a family affair for this episode. And he isn't making his directorial debut with this. He also directed other stuff, including shows he was a star in. Like, I don't know if he directed Grimm, but I think he directed that. I think that show was called A Million Little Things. I'm pretty sure he directed a couple of times on that show. So it's not a debut here. He's probably got the gig because, you know, he's got that experience already. Now, along with this, we can also see that the episode is written by the two showrunners of Todd Helbing and Brent Fletcher, which does make me wonder, because it is episode 3, if they are writing the majority of the episodes, or maybe all of the episodes for this season. It is only a 10-episode season, so we're looking at it more like almost like a streaming show compared to a network show, which has, you know, 15 plus episodes normally, and a streaming show usually has like 8 to 10. So it looks more like a streaming show with that episode amount. But with like this, you don't really see, like with network shows at all, really, where the showrunners write most or all the episodes. A lot of the time it's the premiere, the finale, and then maybe an episode or maybe 2 somewhere in the middle. But that's usually when it's like a 13, 15 plus episode season, not a 10 episode season. Now, I don't think we really know anything about episode 2 for this season in regards to the title or who's writing or probably who's directing. That's probably already out there. We probably just have to dig for it a bit. But maybe that hasn't been posted, like the episode 2 stuff, because of spoilers, maybe in the title, or maybe probably just the title specifically. Maybe it says RIP Superman. Maybe that's the title of the episode. I don't know. And that's probably why it hasn't been revealed. That it could easily be the case. But we have episode 1 stuff, and then we have episode 3. But in regards to this episode 3 thing, with the episode title being Always My Hero, what does that mean? Is it about Superman? Is it maybe about Lois? Is it maybe about Jordan? Or is it maybe like one of those double meaning things? And I mean, because it's episode 3, I do wonder if it is where Superman returns. Because we really do not know what's happening in specifically the first 2 episodes. Because there's no set photos of Tyler Hoechlin as Superman. We just know he's filming as Clark. And it looks like it's flashbacks. So I do wonder if they do the first 2 episodes, maybe 2.5 episodes, where there is no Superman and maybe it's Jordan being Superboy. And then the 3rd episode, that's when Superman returns. And that's where the Always My Hero thing sort of plays into it. Obviously, there could be a couple of different theories as to what it means. It could also mean nothing at the same time. If you have any thoughts, let me know in the comment section down below, but I'm very curious to hear what people might think. If I had to make a guess, I'd assume it just means something about Superman, but it could have a double meaning in regards to both Lois or maybe Jordan or something else, something along those lines. But it is a very interesting title. I did see people going, "Ooh, like what does this mean? Is this meant to mean more than it does?" But the fact that it's revealed probably means it's maybe not massive, because is it a spoiler? But then again, they haven't revealed the episode 2 title from what I've seen. So maybe that's the episode that has the spoiler in it. And this is just sort of, you know, a fun little title that doesn't really spoil too much. But yeah, it will be a couple of weeks before they start filming this 3rd episode. But this scripted announcement would have just been made because David Guintoli or Juntoli, whichever way you pronounce it, will probably start location scouting and prepping this episode within like the next week or just like the next handful of days once they start episode 2 filming. So that's probably why it's been announced. But yeah, I don't know if there's like a larger reason for that outside of that. But obviously, as I mentioned before, with the guest stars, where it looks like we know that Sarah Cushing and Lana Lang, those characters will at least be in episode 2, but potentially maybe later in episode 1. It will be interesting to see if these guest characters are all in one bunch or if they do sprinkle them throughout. We were talking about that, you know, when it was initially announced, where it seemed like they were only going to be in like 2, maybe 3 episodes each, whether they would all be in the same 2 to 3 episodes, or they'd have Sarah and Lana in a couple of episodes. Then later they would have, you know, John Henry Irons and Natalie in a couple of episodes, and then Sam Lane in a couple of episodes, and spread it throughout the season, or if it would be in one large window. And I think that all depended on what was happening with the Kents, because we've seen that, like, they've got the Kent house, like the veranda sort of thing, or like what do Americans call it? Is it called a veranda in America? I know what you call them in it. I don't know. Whatever it is, I call it a veranda. They've got that like on the set thing. Like they got a studio with that, where normally I think they would have filmed that outdoors. I think at the actual Ken farm, I'm not too sure, but they've got that set up, so we know that that's how they're filming those type of things. But outside of that, there hasn't been like this massive amount of set photos and stuff, which we weren't really expecting, because Superman and Lois hasn't been that type of show where it has all that stuff come out. But we don't necessarily know about the logistical side, whether they're in Smallville for the entire season, but it is only episode 1. It is only episode 1. Like, we probably won't be able to really decide too much until we get to episode 3, 4, or maybe even 5. Who knows? Maybe even later. I'm not too sure. But at the moment, they're at least based in Smallville. They're doing like studio stuff to film in the veranda, or what do we call it, outside the house. We just don't know necessarily about the actual farm thing, if they have to do anything larger there, but they might just find like a vacant plot of land and run around in that, and then maybe do some VFX and stuff to add like a house in the background. I'm not too sure. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and it show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions about all the stuff we went over in this video. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.